Welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having a magical day. Thank you so much for taking the time to support the channel. We're back with a new video and a surprise even to myself. Did you know MagicCon Philly was happening? The Pro Tour? I did not. Found out about it last second. Oh, your boy's out of the loop. My bad. And apologies. They played some draft. They played some Pioneer and accumulated some points for the tour, which is a lot of fun. But what was even more of a surprise was we had some, content spoiled, if you will, officially this time, which is nice to see. No thumb counters, sadly. But March of the Machine, the newest set to Magic the Gathering, coming out in like a month and a half, 2 months or something, which is like right away. And then we also got the set after that, which is kind of cool. There's some unique things about this that comes out just 1 month after, which is really cool. So a lot of new cards coming out within the next 2 and 3 months. Super excited about this, and we have a good portion of them to talk about in today's video, which is super exciting. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so to help support. And, let's just get right into the goods. I'm using Mythic Spoiler, the newest spoilers for Magic the Gathering, always. And we see, first and foremost, Yuta, the world champion, getting their card printed, the Fairy Mastermind. And it's cool because Yuta's a fairy player, for those of you who don't know, at their core. 2 mana, 2/1 with flash and flying. It's also a rogue, which is probably important. But what's really cool here is whenever your opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. That's phenomenal because lots of the times your opponent's going to be doing that organically, right? And then you're getting a free draw off of their hard work. However, we can also pay 4, and this is not tapping it or anything. You can dump extra mana into this if you'd like to. Each player draws a card, right? So you'd activate this ideally on your opponent's end step. They draw their second card for their turn, which forces you to draw a card, plus each player draws a card. So you're getting 2 draws. Probably both counter spells. Let's be serious. And I think that this is a phenomenal card. We have the Vandal in play, the Fairy Vandal. Another 2-drop with flash that's really, really good. That goes up in strength and toughness for every second time you draw a card, your turn or whatever, right? So very, very cool, blue decks coming down the pipeline our way, right? So pay attention to the set symbol here. The sword with the circle will be March of the Machine, which has its digital release in Arena on April 18th. And then we have the Kenrith's Royal Funeral, and this is kind of like a circle with a bit of a star thing in it here. And then the release for that will be May 12th, right? So you see the set symbol here for the Aftermath, and the set symbol here with the sword for March of the Machine, just so you can see the difference, because they're not all belonging to one set, right? So we're going to see Fairy Mastermind right away. Kenrith's Funeral won't see for a little bit, but it's still kind of cool that we got a sneak peek that far ahead, which is nice. So for 4 mana in Azorius colors, 2 generic, 1 white, 1 black, as a legendary enchantment, when Kenrith's Royal Funeral enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target legendary creature cards from your graveyard. You draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the greatest mana value among those cards, among cards exiled this way. Legendary spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card exiled with the Royal Funeral. Okay, I've got to reparse this. When it enters the battlefield, exile 2 target legendary creatures from your graveyard. You draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the greatest mana value. And then legendary spells will hopefully cost 2 less to cast. Potentially only 1 less if you only get 1 card, but you would get 2, right? Up to 2. And that's very good. And it's not legendary creatures, it's legendary spells in their entirety. Most of them are creatures, but You know, there are a few that aren't, which is nice. So a cool card, losing a lot of life, but drawing a lot of cards, right? So that's a nice trade-off. And then you do get that nice static ability of reducing the cost of your legendary spell. So, you know, I'm game. I think it's pretty cool. You know, we play with that Orzhov Aristocrats deck that uses legendaries. So, you know, maybe that goes well in there. Catilda and Lear, Bant colors, 1 green, 1 plains, 1 blue. This is a 3/3 legendary creature, human. Take note of the set symbol. This is going to be different yet again as a commander card, right? But we can still go over it. They're pretty cool to look at. Whenever you cast a human spell, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until the end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. We can also note the symbols on the bottom. MOM for March of the Machine, MAT for March of the Machine, the Aftermath, and MOC for March of the Machine Commander, right? That's the C's there for Commander, as is the set symbol. Moving on, we have Omnath, Locus of All, for 5 mana in total, 1 Phyrexian black, so a plains, an island, the Phyrexian swamp, a mountain, and a forest, which is pretty cool. Even getting Simba quite excited. This is a legendary creature, Phyrexian Elemental, a 4/4, and if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. And at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card, and if it has 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost, if you do, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. Okay, so if you choose to reveal it. And if it has 3 more mana symbols in its cost, if you do reveal it, add 3 manas in any combination of its colors, and then put it into your hand. If you don't reveal it, just put it into your hand. So that's a phenomenal way just to get a bunch of mana, right? Just revealing a card, getting 3 mana from it. And if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead. Do you not lose the black unspent mana? Is what I'm wondering here. Again, this is my first time seeing these cards to understand them, right? And a lot of them are quite complex. And Omnath is always just that broken card. So if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead of being lost. I think as the instead is a replacement effect. Like if you would lose the mana, instead, don't lose it, and it just becomes black mana, which is pretty cool. So I would assume that's through your phases, and you would still lose it on your opponent's, like on the turn shift. I do believe, right? Like when it's your opponent's turn, I think you would still lose unspent mana, but maybe I'm incorrect. I certainly would hope that you do, because that would be wild. Just compounding your mana every turn. You never lose it, probably. I don't know. It doesn't, you know, you'd think that it would say that you would lose it until the end of turn if that's what it was. If it doesn't say that, maybe, you know, again, first time through all of these cards. Wow, that might be a problem. Okay, so Ghalta and Mavrin. This is going to be 7 mana, 3 generic, 2 forest, 2 plains, a legendary creature, Dinosaur Vampire. You have my attention. It's a 12/12, as Ghalta is. It has trample, and whenever you attack, choose 1. Either you create a tapped and attacking XX green dinosaur creature token with trample, where X is the greatest power among other attacking creatures. Okay. Or create X/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is the number of other attacking creatures, right? So you're either going wide or tall. Either way, a phenomenal card, 12/12 with trample. You throw lifelink on this, you're good to go. Or double strike, dare I say it. Could you imagine? Coming over and moving on to another commander card here, Slimefoot and Squee. For 3, this is going to be 1 swamp, 1 mountain, 1 forest. Legendary creature, Fungus Goblin. A 3/3, and whenever Slimefoot and Squee enters the battlefield or attacks, create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. We can pay for 1 generic plus the Jund colors, black, red, and green, sacrificing a sapperling, returning Slimefoot and Squee, and up to 1 other target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, in fact. That's great. At sorcery speed. It doesn't have haste, but, you know, it is what it is. Another commander, Goro Goro and Satoru, within Grixis colors, blue, black, and red, 3 mana. A 3/4 legendary creature, Goblin Human. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control that entered the battlefield this turn deal combat damage to a player, create a 5/5 red dragon spirit creature token with flying. That's actually really, really good for 3 mana as well. Okay. Some Grixis haste. And then we can pay 2 creatures you control, gain haste until end of turn. That's phenomenal. Chandra, Hope's Beacon, 6 mana, 5 starting loyalty as a legendary planeswalker. A static ability, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. +2, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. That's like phenomenal. +1, exile the top 5 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from among those exiled cards. So only casting 1, but getting access to 5. Very good. And that's a plus ability as well. +1. -X, Chandra, Hope's Beacon deals X damage to each of up to 2 targets. Pretty good. Target player, target defender. And then you attack. 6 mana, pretty chonky, but the fact that you're just copying spells is ridiculous. You know? I'm sure all the Invoke Despair players are going to love the new Chandra. Right? The fact that you can even add mana, like, great. Moving on, Thalia and the Gitrog Monster. 4 mana within Abzan colors. So 1 generic, 1 white, 1 black, 1 forest. Or green source, pardon me. As a legendary creature, human frog horror. It's a 4/4 with first strike and death touch, which is great. Looking at you, Glissa. And you may play an additional land on each of your turns, which is really good, I think. And then creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control will enter the battlefield tapped. That's also, you know, quite enjoyable. And then whenever Thalia and the Gitrog Monster attacks, sacrifice a creature or a land, and then draw a card. So, you know, that's not the worst either. Yargle and Multony. 6 mana as a legendary creature, frog, spirit, elemental. This is an 18/6 creature. It has no abilities. Dang. 18/6 for 6 mana. Do you think we'll receive Fling in the set? We have Nahiri's new card. Doesn't deal to your opponent, but up to 2 other target creatures, I think. Just flinging that at your opponents, that's ridiculous, you know? We have Zayatora, that dragon that can sacrifice. This is phenomenal. Draina and Linvala for 4 mana. Another legendary creature, Vampire Angel, 1 generic, 2 plains, and a swamp. A 3/4 with flying and vigilance. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control don't or can't be activated, I should say. That's really, really good. Draina and Linvala have all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. As a Vampire Angel, I'm game. Like, I am down to clown. I'm totally okay with that. Breach of the Multiverse for 7 mana. This is a sorcery speed spell. Each player mills 10 cards. Thank you very much. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards into the battlefield under your control. Are you kidding me? Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. That's not funny. What? Oh my god. So this is like gonna ruin Commander games, but I bet it's still played in Standard. That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Yeah, great. Cool beans. Moment of Truth for 2. This is an instant speed spell. Looking at the top 3 cards of your library, putting one of those cards into your hand, the rest into your graveyard, and 1 on the bottom of your library. That's a nice spread. Instant speed. Look at 3. All right. Heliod, the Radiant Dawn. 4 mana, 2 generic, 2 planes, as a legendary enchantment creature. That's pretty cool. A god, as they always are. A 4/4, and when Heliod, the Radiant Dawn, enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. That's all right. That's pretty cool. We can pay 3 generic plus 1 Phyrexian blue mana. Transform Heliod, the Radiant Dawn. Activate only as a sorcery. All right, and it's going to transform into Heliod, the Warped Eclipse. This is a 4/6 legendary enchantment creature, Phyrexian god. You may cast spells as though they had flash. Woof, that's really good. Spells that you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card in your opponent's that your opponents have drawn this turn. That's going to reduce your spell by 1 on their turn from their draw phase, and if they're drawing more cards, that's what they get. All right, and then we are going to skip down past the synthesis to Jin-Gitaxias for 5 mana, a 5/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor with Ward 2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, draw a card. We can pay 4 to exile Jin, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate this as sorcery speed, and only if you have 7 or more cards in your hand, which is a tall order. We transform into the Great Synthesis, a saga enchantment, and when it enters play or is transformed, I suppose, we will draw cards equal to the number of cards in our hand, which is wild. And then you have no maximum hand size for as long as you control the Great Synthesis. So you need to have 7 cards in hand anyways. So that's going to draw you 7 cards. LOL. Cool. And then no maximum hand size. Return all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hand. That is really good. That reminds me of the Cyclone Summoner. Anyone? We like it. That's playable. And then finally, you may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Stop it. Exile the Great Synthesis and then return it to the battlefield as Jin. Wow. Any number of spells from your hand without paying their and you're gonna have 14 cards. That's ridiculous. You may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Cool beans. They're gonna like triple cast Invoke on you or what? That's so bad. Then return it to the battlefield front face up, which would just be as Jin again. And then you do it again. Yeah, fantastic. And then we get some lands. They're entering the battlefield tapped. You're going to gain 1 life, and they're duals, but not a land type. So they're not great in any means, and they're all reprints. The Cove, the Backwater, the Caves, the Highlands, the Sands, the Barrens, the Cliffs, the Hollow, and the Crag, and the Falls. Oh my gosh, pretty cool stuff. And then there's some more commander cards, which we may as well look at. These are unique. I don't entirely understand them, but I'm sure as time goes on we will. I think they're just like field modifier cards, like they're like a plane card, if you will, as they say. Look, so Kamigawa plane, Dominaria plane, and a Phenomenon, which is interesting. Modified creatures you control have trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. That's really cool. Whenever chaos ensues, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control to make them modified. So that's interesting. Chaos ensues is going to be a mechanic for the set, I would assume. Isle of Vesuva. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, its controller creates a token that's a copy of that creature. And then Chaos Ensues, destroy target creature and all other creatures with the same name as that creature. Woof. Get rid of those opponent's tokens. Spatial Merging. When you encounter Spatial Merging, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal 2 playing cards. Simultaneously, Planeswalkers to both of them. What? Put all other cards revealed this way on the bottom of your planar deck in any order. I have to reread this. When you encounter the merging, reveal cards from the top of your planar deck until you reveal 2 playing cards, which would be what these are, right? Simultaneously planeswalk to both of them. Okay, that's what it's called when you go to them. Fantastic. And then put all other cards revealed this way from the bottom of your planar deck in any order. I've not ever played with a quote-unquote planar deck, so that's interesting. And then, you know, we're into the promos and secret layers. So that is pretty cool. This Jin-Gitaxias Great Synthesis card looks nugging futz, if I dare say so myself. I like everything at Flash, but it might be, you know, a little bit harder to get there. I'm surprised there's no Indestructible on Helioid. You know, I would have loved to see that. Or have this transform at instant speed so it can dodge removal. So that's kind of sad. It is what it is, though. I do like Draina. You know, shutting down activated abilities is really cool. Breach the Multiverse. This looks goofy. I'm glad it's 7 mana, but what if you're free casting this or something, right? Very scary. There's like the 3rd path. You could definitely free cast this if you want. Scary stuff. Chandra looks pretty cool, copying spells, but again, you know, at least it's pretty expensive. Teferi Mastermind looks ridiculous, and Omnath is probably really gross as well, which is going to make stuff like this much easier to cast if you're never losing your mana, right? Like, you know, 5 mana that you don't lose, like you tap it, it goes to your pool. Now you don't lose it, and then it's your upkeep again. You untap, retap. Now you got 10 mana. Maybe you even draw one to 11, and then going wild, I guess, right? So Omnath looks pretty cool as well, but excited to see what other cards we get in the coming days. I believe the official spoiler season for March of the Machines is on the 29th. So still like a month and a bit away, right? 5 weeks until all of the spoilers are coming out, right? We get the full set released, and then, you know, it won't be long after that till the Aftermath cards begin to be spoiled as well, but we don't have that date yet. All we have is the release date of May 12th, so I assume it would be, you know, like a week or two before that the spoilers start to roll out. And that's all we really have for you today. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Appreciate it. You are the greatest. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel to help support. You can become a YouTube member as well for access to the exclusive Sunday members only stream. Most importantly, just have an absolute magical day, and we'll see you soon in the next.